the grand mansion of the alien mother. The mansion of the wealthy alien mother stood like a shining jewel under the twin suns. Its tall towers reached the sky, covered in silver walls and glowing blue crystals. Every alien who passed by stopped, for a moment to look, because the house was not only a place of wealth but also a place of fear. Inside lived a woman of great power, a woman who owned lands, ships, and armies. Yet behind the walls of her beautiful home was a silence heavier than gold. The alien mother walked through her grand halls. Her robes sparkled with jewels. Her crown rested on her head. Servants bowed when she passed, whispering in fear of her sharp eyes. She was known as a woman who never smiled. Her voice could cut like a blade, and her decisions could change the lives of thousands. But inside her heart, a wound that never healed kept bleeding quietly. Her daughter, her only child, was lying in a tall bed made of soft feathers and glowing lights. The girl was young, her skin bright like her mother's, but her body weak. Since birth, she had never walked. Her legs did not move. Her steps never touched the polished floors of the mansion. The alien doctors had tried, the healers had promised, and the scientists had tested. But in the end, they all bowed their heads and admitted failure. The girl was paralyzed, and no medicine of their advanced world could cure her. The mother looked at her daughter every day with a mix of love and pain. She loved her more than all her treasures, yet the pain of watching her suffer was unbearable. She had all the riches of the galaxy, but not the power to give her daughter a single step. At night, when the halls were quiet, she would sit beside the girl's bed and hold her small hand. Her eyes would water, but she never let her tears fall in front of the servants. A powerful woman could not show weakness, not even in her own home. In the grand dining hall, she sat at the long table covered with shining dishes. She ate alone, with her mind always on her child. Every bite tasted bitter. Every glass of golden drink felt empty. She had conquered wealth, but she had lost the battle that mattered most. Rumors began to spread in the city outside her gates. Humans had arrived, creatures from a distant blue planet, small in number, but strange in their ways. Some aliens laughed at them, calling them weak and fragile. Others whispered that humans carried something different, something powerful, not in their muscles, but in their hearts. Stories told of a human soldier who had healed broken spirits with nothing but his words, and an engineer who built devices that could change lives. The alien mother heard these whispers while sitting in her crystal throne. Her servants spoke carefully, knowing she hated false hope, but her daughter's eyes, bright and curious, glowed. Whenever she heard the word human, the girl would smile, a rare smile, and ask in her weak voice, "Mother, what if they can help me?" The mother shook her head each time. She told her child that humans were simple beings, travelers, dreamers, not healers. She said that alien science had failed, and no stranger could change what was written by fate. Yet deep inside, in the part of her heart she kept locked away, she wondered, could it be true? Could a human really do what her empire's greatest minds could not? That night, when the twin moons rose and painted silver light across the mansion, the mother walked alone in her garden, her heavy robes dragged against the stone path. The stars above seemed to whisper promises she could not believe. She thought of her daughter, still lying in bed, still waiting, still hoping. The mother's chest tightened. For years she had closed her heart to hope, afraid that another failure would break her completely. But the thought of humans stayed in her mind, stubborn like a seed refusing to die. As she returned to her daughter's room, she stood by the door silently. The girl was awake, staring at the ceiling. Her lips moved as if she was speaking to herself. The mother stepped closer and asked, "What are you saying, child?" The girl turned her head slowly and whispered, "I am praying that one day I will stand. I am praying that one day you will see me walk to you." The words cut the mother deeper than any blade. She wanted to scream that prayers were useless, that fate was cruel. But when she saw the fire of hope in her daughter's weak body, she could not kill it. For the first time in many years, the powerful alien mother said nothing. She only lowered her head, hiding the tears that finally escaped her eyes. And outside, beyond the tall crystal walls of the mansion, the first human traveler set foot on alien ground, carrying with him not weapons, not riches, but something the galaxy had long forgotten: hope. The human visitor. The next day, inside the shining hall of the alien council, many nobles and leaders gathered in their tall seats. The wealthy alien mother sat among them, her face cold as stone. Her daughter's weak smile still haunted her from the night before. The whispers of humans had reached the council too. Some laughed, some mocked, some warned, yet the name of one human kept returning again and again. His name was Arik, a human engineer and soldier, not from wealth or royalty but from a distant world where people struggled and fought with their own hands. He had become known for repairing broken machines, building strange devices, and sometimes even helping injured beings when doctors had given up. When Arik walked into the council chamber, the room fell into a strange silence. He was smaller than the aliens, his body not covered in armor, only simple clothes. His eyes carried no fear, only calm determination. The aliens watched him as if he were a strange animal, many expecting him to bow or tremble. But he walked forward with steady steps. His voice was not loud, but it reached every corner of the hall. "I do not bring weapons or tricks. I bring knowledge, and with it I bring hope," he said. The alien mother raised her chin, her cold gaze fixed on him. She wanted to dismiss him as a fool, yet she felt something stir inside her. When his eyes met hers, she felt as if he could see through her layers of pride and pain. She hated that feeling, but she could not turn away. The council demanded he explain, and so Arik spoke of his inventions, of devices made not to kill but to heal, of tools that used energy differently than alien science. He explained how he had once built a simple frame for a child with broken legs on another world, and that child had walked again. Laughter erupted from some corners of the chamber. "Human lies," one noble shouted. "Empty tricks," another sneered. But the alien mother did not laugh. Her daughter's face appeared in her mind. She remembered her weak voice whispering, "Let him try." That night, when the council ended, the alien mother ordered her servants to bring Arik to her mansion in secret. He was taken through the hidden gates, past the glowing gardens, into the grand hall. The servants looked uneasy, for no human had ever entered such a place before. The alien mother sat upon her throne, her voice sharp as a blade when she spoke. "You claim to give hope, human, but hope is dangerous. Hope has broken me more than once. If you raise false hope for my daughter, I will see you destroyed." Arik bowed his head, not in fear, but in respect. "I do not promise miracles, my hands cannot change fate, but sometimes fate only needs a small push," he said. His words were simple, but they burned in the mother's mind. She wanted to order him out, yet her daughter's voice echoed again in the silence. The girl, weak but brave, looked at her mother with glowing eyes. "Mother, please, let him try." The alien mother closed her eyes. Her empire, her wealth, her pride, they all stood heavy on her shoulders, but the sight of her daughter begging with such hope was heavier. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling. For the first time in many years, "Very well, human, but if you fail, your life will be mine." The secret experiment. The human was given a hidden chamber deep within the mansion, a place where servants were forbidden to enter. Only the mother, her daughter, and a few loyal guards knew of it. In that chamber, Arik began his work. He studied the daughter's weak body, her still legs, the scars left by alien medicine. He asked gentle questions, not only about her body but about her dreams. The girl smiled more in those moments than she had in years, and the mother watched from the shadows, torn between suspicion and curiosity. Arik gathered materials, alien crystals, human metals, and strange wires he carried from his ship. He worked without rest, his hands blackened by smoke, his eyes tired but unbroken. He sang softly as he built. Human songs the aliens did not understand, but the girl listened with shining eyes. For her, it was music of hope. For her mother, it was a reminder that this creature was not only an engineer, but something more, something different. Day after day, the device began to take shape. It looked like a light exosuit, small and delicate, designed to wrap around the girl's legs and spine. Unlike alien machines filled with cold steel, this one glowed with gentle blue light. It seemed alive, breathing with energy. The alien mother stared at it with fear and awe. Her heart whispered that it was impossible, but her eyes told her otherwise. One night, she entered the chamber when Arik was asleep on the floor. The half-built suit lay beside him, glowing faintly. She touched it with trembling fingers. It was warm, as if it carried a heartbeat. She pulled her hand back quickly, whispering to herself, "No machine should feel alive." When Arik awoke, he found her staring. He did not bow. He only said, "It is ready soon, but you must understand, this is not only metal and light, this is belief made solid." The mother frowned. Belief does not move legs. Belief does not heal bodies. Arik looked at her with calm eyes and answered, "Belief moves the spirit, and the spirit moves everything else." The mother turned away, her robe swishing across the floor. She wanted to dismiss his words, but they followed her like shadows. The girl, meanwhile, whispered to her mother, when they were alone, "I want to try, even if I fall. Even if I break, I want to try." The mother felt her heart tearing apart. Her child's courage was greater than her own. At last, the day came. The suit was finished. Its lights pulsed like a heartbeat. Arik knelt before the girl, gently strapping the device around her frail legs. The mother stood nearby, her hands shaking even though she tried to hide it. The chamber grew silent, only the soft hum of the device filling the air. The girl looked at her mother with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Mother, if I fall, will you catch me?" The alien mother's throat closed. She wanted to speak, but no words came. Instead, she stepped forward and placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. For the first time, her voice softened. "Always, my child. Always." And with that, the human activated the device. A strange light spread across the girl's body. Her legs twitched for the first time. Her toes curled. The mother gasped, covering her mouth with trembling fingers. The impossible was beginning. First attempt at walking, Ikishihindai. Secret chamber was silent except for the faint hum of the strange human device. The walls of the mansion were thick, built to keep out not only sound, but also secrets. Yet inside this room, the weight of history itself seemed to press upon everyone present. The wealthy alien mother stood with her arms folded tightly across. Her chest, her heart pounding so loudly she was certain the others could hear it. In front of her, her fragile daughter sat in the strange exosuit, glowing softly with blue and silver light, and beside her knelt Arik, the human who had promised nothing yet carried everything upon his shoulders. The girl's small hands gripped the edge of the chair as the energy from the suit traveled down. Her legs, her body trembled as if it was waking from a long dream. Her pale face shone with both fear and excitement. Her wide eyes turned to her mother, who tried to keep her face cold and unreadable. But her fingers dug into her arm so tightly that her nails nearly pierced her skin. She had told herself this was a mistake, a waste, a dangerous fantasy. Yet some part of her heart that she had locked away for years refused to stay silent. Hope clawed against her chest like a caged beast demanding release. Arik's calm voice broke the silence. "Take a deep breath. Focus not on the fear of falling, but on the joy of trying." The words were simple, but they struck the mother like a blow. She hated how easily this human spoke of joy as if it were a simple thing to grasp. For her, joy had become a ghost, something she had buried beneath wealth, power, and silence. Yet her daughter nodded, her small chin lifted with courage, and for a moment the mother felt as if the roles were reversed, as if the child was teaching the parent how to be brave. The girl placed her hands on the sides of the chair and pushed. Her arms trembled violently, the muscles in her thin shoulders straining with effort. The glowing suit pulsed with light, feeding energy into her weak legs. Slowly, so slowly that time itself seemed to hold its breath. Her body began to rise. Her knees shook, her feet slipped against the floor, but she was standing, leaning heavily on the chair, her entire frame trembling. Yet she was standing. The alien mother's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to rush forward to hold her child, to stop her before she fell, but her feet refused to move. She stood frozen as if chained to the ground. Her eyes widened, and for the first time in her long life of control and command, she felt powerless, not in the way of weakness, but in the way of awe. She whispered without realizing it, "She is standing." The girl's face glowed with tears, her lips trembling. As she whispered, "Mother, look, I am up." Her voice cracked with both pain and triumph. Her legs wavered violently, threatening to collapse. Arik steadied her with gentle hands, guiding her posture. "Do not fear the fall," he said softly. "Every fall is the beginning of a step." The girl tried to take her first step. She lifted her foot a fraction, the muscles trembling under the weight. The moment stretched endlessly. The alien mother's heart screamed for her to stop, to sit, to rest, to not risk breaking her fragile body. Yet her daughter forced her leg forward, the exosuit humming as it supported her. For one glorious second, she placed her foot ahead, then her body swayed violently. She lost balance and collapsed toward the ground. The alien mother cried out, her voice shattering the silence. She rushed forward, her jeweled crown slipping from her head as she fell to her knees, catching her child before she hit the stone floor. She clutched the girl tightly, her arms trembling, her heart racing like a storm. Her voice cracked as she shouted at Arik, "You liar, you trickster, you promised nothing and you gave her pain. She is too fragile for your experiments." But before her rage could burn hotter, she felt a weak hand upon her cheek. Her daughter's small fingers pressed against her face, and the girl whispered, her voice soft but stronger than any command, "Mother, I did it. I stood. I took a step." Tears poured down the mother's cheeks as she looked into her child's eyes. The girl was not broken. She was not defeated. She was smiling, truly smiling. A light brighter than the glowing crystals of the mansion, Arik did not bow his head in shame. Instead, he spoke with steady resolve. "She fell because she tried, and trying is the first victory. Do not take this away from her. Let her fight. For herself, for her own steps." The alien mother glared at him, but she could not ignore the truth in his words. Her daughter, fragile and weak, had shown more courage in one attempt than the mother had in all her years of hiding behind wealth and power. The girl clung to her mother's robe and whispered again, "Please, let me try once more. Do not stop me now. I want to walk to you. I want you to see me walk." The mother's lips trembled, her entire empire, her honor, her cold pride. All of it seemed worthless against the sound of her daughter's plea. She pressed her forehead against the child's and finally nodded, unable to speak. Arik adjusted the exosuit once more, his hands steady, his eyes filled with quiet fire. The chamber felt heavier, as if the entire galaxy leaned closer to watch this fragile miracle unfold. The girl stood again, slower this time but with greater strength. Her legs wavered, her breaths came sharp and fast, but she refused to stop. She lifted one foot, placed it ahead, then another. She stumbled, but she caught herself on the chair, and then she took another step. The alien mother gasped and dropped the golden plate she held in her hand. The sound of metal striking stone echoed like thunder across the chamber. Her eyes filled with tears. She could no longer hide. She reached forward with trembling hands, whispering her daughter's name, and in that moment she realized she was witnessing the impossible. Her child was walking. The impossible moment. The golden plate rolled across the stone floor, its sharp echo bouncing from wall to wall, but the wealthy alien mother no longer cared for jewels, food, or riches. Her entire world had shrunk to the fragile figure before her beloved daughter, who for the first time in her life was not lying in bed, not trapped in silence, but rising with trembling legs supported by the strange human suit. The glow of the device bathed the girl in soft blue light, and in that light she looked less like a weak child and more like a warrior fighting against the chains of fate. Her first step had shaken the chamber. Her second step silenced her mother's doubts, and now each new step felt like thunder in the mother's chest. The girl's legs trembled like thin branches in a storm, yet she did not stop. Sweat glistened on her brow, her breaths came sharp and ragged, but her eyes never looked down. They lifted and locked onto her mother's tear-filled gaze, and in that moment a current of strength seemed to flow between them, stronger than any science, stronger than any empire. The alien mother's knees gave way. She sank to the cold stone floor, her jeweled robes spilling around her like broken treasures. Her hands covered her mouth as if to hide the flood of emotions that poured through her. For decades she had built walls of pride and wealth, hiding her pain behind an iron mask, yet all of it shattered as she watched her daughter's fragile body defy the destiny that had chained her since birth. She whispered broken words through her tears. "You are walking, my child. You are walking." Eric stood beside the girl, his hands ready but never forcing, his voice guiding her like a calm river. "One more step. Steady now. Do not fear the ground. It is waiting to hold you." The girl's lips parted in a trembling smile. She whispered back, "I can feel it. I can feel the ground beneath me." Her voice cracked, but her spirit blazed like fire. She lifted her foot again, her balance swaying, but she placed it firmly on the floor. Another step, then another. The mother gasped with every movement, her body leaning forward as if she could carry her daughter's weight with her own will. The child stumbled, her knees bending dangerously, and the mother nearly rushed forward to catch her. But Arik raised one hand, his calm voice stopping her. "Trust her. She has carried her cage for years. Now, let her carry her freedom." The words struck deep, and the mother froze, torn between fear and faith. The girl's small hands reached forward, not for Eric, not for the chair, but for her mother. The alien mother's heart shattered completely as she saw those trembling hands stretched out toward her. Each step dragged pain through the girl's thin body. Each movement seemed impossible, yet her eyes never wavered. "Mother, I am coming. To you," she whispered, her voice trembling but filled with a fire that no weakness could erase. The alien mother crawled forward on her knees, her arms open, tears flowing freely down her cheeks. For the first time in her life, she did not care for her crown, her status, or the judgment of her people. She only cared for the fragile child who was walking toward her, step by impossible step. The chamber seemed to vanish. The mansion walls disappeared. The whole universe faded until only mother and daughter remained, connected by love and by the miracle unfolding between them. With one final cry of effort, the girl took another step, her knees shaking violently, her body nearly collapsing, but she threw herself into her mother's arms. The alien mother caught her, holding her tight against her chest, clutching her as if she were the most precious treasure in all existence. Her daughter's small body was weak, trembling, but alive, stronger than it had ever been. The mother sobbed openly, her voice cracking. "You walked to me, my child. You walked to me." The girl pressed her cheek against her mother's chest, whispering softly, "I told you, Mother. One day you would see me walk." Her voice was filled with exhaustion, but also with triumph. The alien mother stroked her daughter's hair, rocking her gently, unable to believe the truth even as she held it in her arms. The miracle was real, and she was living it. Arik stood back quietly, his face calm but his eyes glistening. He did not speak of victory or pride. He simply bowed his head as if honoring the moment. To him, this was not about glory or recognition. It was about giving a child what she had always deserved: the chance to stand, the chance to walk, the chance to live beyond the prison of her body. But even as the mother held her daughter in joy, shadows stirred beyond the chamber doors. The guards who had been sworn to silence shifted uneasily. The sound of the plate striking stone earlier had traveled farther than expected. Whispers carried through the halls, and already servants were speaking of strange light glowing beneath the mansion floors. In the city beyond, rumors were spreading quickly. A human had entered the mansion of the wealthy mother, and something impossible had happened within. The alien mother sensed it. She lifted her head, her tears still wet upon her cheeks, and her eyes turned toward the doors with sudden fear. She knew that her society would not celebrate this miracle. The council would not bow before human kindness. They would see this as a threat to their order, as a violation of their science, as a challenge to their pride, and they would not forgive it. She held her daughter tighter, pressing her lips against her forehead, whispering fiercely, "I will not let them take this from you. I will not let them take you from me." Her heart, once frozen by despair, now burned with a fire stronger than ever. For years she had bowed to hopelessness, but now she would rise against anything, even her own people, to protect the impossible gift her child had been given. And in that chamber, surrounded by silence and shadows, the wealthy alien mother understood something that shook her to her core. Her daughter had not only learned to walk, she had taught her mother how to stand. The price of hope. The joy of the impossible moment lingered in the secret chamber. The wealthy alien mother still clutching her trembling daughter against her chest, her tears soaking into the child's hair. The girl's smile was weak but radiant, her breaths ragged but filled with pride. For the first time in her short life, she had stood, she had taken steps, and she had walked into her mother's arms. Yet, even as the warmth of this miracle filled the air, the walls of the mansion carried whispers, and those whispers were about to become storms. Outside the chamber, guards shifted uneasily. They had sworn to silence, yet the glowing light from the human device and the sound of the golden plate crashing had stirred rumors that spread like fire. Servants whispered of miracles. Neighbors spoke of forbidden science, and soon the words reached ears that were never meant to hear them. The alien council, proud and cruel, would not tolerate such defiance of their authority, for in their eyes, nothing was more dangerous than hope born outside their control. It was not long before armored messengers arrived at the gates of the mansion. Their banners carried the seal of the council, and their voices echoed through the crystal halls, demanding entry. The alien mother stood tall in her throne room, her daughter hidden once again in her chamber, and Arik, the human, stood silently beside her, calm and steady as ever. The council's soldiers glared at him with thinly veiled hatred, for in their eyes he was not a healer, but a threat, a creature who dared to twist their laws with his alien hands. The mother's voice was sharp as steel when she addressed them. "This is my house. You do not command me here." Yet, deep inside, she knew her defiance could not hold forever. The council held the power of armies, and even her wealth could not shield her if they turned against her completely. Still, she would not allow them to see her fear. The council summoned her to stand before them, and so the wealthy mother, with her head high and her robes flowing like rivers of fire, entered the great council chamber the next day. The towering walls glittered with ancient carvings of victories and power, but today those carvings seemed like bars of a cage. Her daughter was carried into the hall on a chair, hidden beneath a veil, while Arik walked beside them, chained at the wrists by guards who looked ready to strike him down at a single order. The High Counselor, a tall alien with eyes as cold as ice, spoke first. His voice boomed across the chamber. "We have heard of strange lights in your mansion. We have heard of a paralyzed child moving. Tell us, wealthy mother, is it true? Has your house broken the sacred laws of medicine by allowing an outsider to touch what our science has declared unhealable?" The chamber filled with gasps and whispers. Nobles leaned forward in curiosity. Soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, and the mother felt the weight of 1,000 eyes pressing down on her. She glanced at her daughter, who stared back with wide, hopeful eyes. Then she looked at Arik, calm even in chains, and in that moment she realized the choice before her was no longer about laws or power. It was about truth. Her lips trembled, her throat dry, but she spoke clearly. "Yes, it is true. My daughter has walked. She has taken steps that your science said she never would. She has lived a miracle, and it was not you who gave it to her. It was this human." The chamber erupted. Some shouted in rage, others cried in disbelief. A few even whispered in awe, but the High Counselor slammed his staff upon the floor, silencing the hall. His voice thundered. "Then you have betrayed your people. You have brought a human into our sacred halls of life. You have broken our trust. You stand guilty of treason." The guards moved forward, raising their weapons toward Arik, ready to end him. The mother stepped in front of him, her voice breaking into a roar that none had ever heard from her before. "No, you will not touch him. Without him, my daughter would still be broken. Without him, my house would still be drowning in despair. You call this treason, I call this truth. You call him an outsider, I call him the one who gave my child her life." The counselors hissed and muttered, their pride wounded, their authority challenged. For a moment it seemed they would order her destroyed alongside the human. But then her daughter, frail yet fierce, pushed herself up from her chair. The exosuit glowed beneath her robes, and before the council's stunned eyes, she placed one trembling foot forward, then another. The chamber fell into silence as the young girl walked slowly. Step by shaky step, across the floor of judgment, gasps filled the air. Some covered their mouths in shock, others dropped their eyes in shame. The girl's small voice rang out, quiet but unshakable. "You told me I would never walk. You told my mother to accept my cage, but you were wrong. Humans helped me, and now I stand before you. I am not broken, I am alive." The council's fury clashed with their disbelief. Some demanded punishment, others called for silence, but the image of the frail child walking where none had believed she could planted a seed of doubt even in their hardened hearts. The wealthy mother stood beside her daughter, her voice filled with fire. "If you wish to call me guilty, then I accept it. But know this, I will not give up the man who gave my daughter her life. If you strike him down, you strike me down as well." Her words shook the chamber like thunder. For years the council had ruled through fear, but now before them stood not just a mother and child, but a living miracle that defied everything they claimed to know. The mother's wealth, her reputation, her power, none of it mattered compared to the sight of her daughter's trembling but determined steps, and so the council sat in silence, trapped between their pride and the undeniable truth. Their judgment would come, but the mother already knew what she had gained was worth any price. For hope had returned to her house, and hope had a price she was finally willing to pay. Humanity's gift, the council chamber remained silent after the wealthy alien mother's declaration. Her daughter stood beside her, trembling but unbroken, the faint glow of the human device still lighting her frail frame. The nobles who once laughed now stared in disbelief. The soldiers who once mocked now hesitated with their weapons lowered, and the counselors who once claimed all authority over life and death now found themselves staring at a truth they could not erase. A paralyzed child had walked before their eyes, and it was not because of their power or their science. It was because of a human, The High Counselor's staff shook as he slammed it once more upon the floor. His voice rang with fury. "This is heresy. This is a violation of our laws. If we accept this, then we admit weakness before an inferior race. We cannot allow humans to rise above us." But his words no longer carried the same unshakable weight. Doubt had entered the hearts of many who watched. Doubt that whispered maybe, just maybe, the human had shown them something greater than laws or pride. The alien mother rose taller, her hand holding her daughter's as if anchoring her to the ground she had only just claimed. Her voice, once feared for its coldness, now carried the fire of truth. "You call this heresy, but I call it life. You call this weakness, but I call it strength. You sit upon your thrones and speak of laws, but none of you has ever looked into the eyes of your child and seen them trapped, broken, unable to rise. You speak of power, yet when faced with a challenge you said was impossible. It was not your pride that saved us. It was a human who dared to try." Gasps and murmurs spread through the chamber. The counselors whispered angrily among themselves, some demanding silence, others urging punishment. But more than a few shifted uneasily in their seats. The sight of the girl walking step by trembling step could not be forgotten, and the mother's words burned like a torch in the darkness. Arik, still bound in chains, finally spoke, his voice calm, carrying no pride, only truth. "I came not to shame you, not to steal your power, not to claim your throne. I came only to help a child who deserved more than a cage. I am human, and this is what humanity does. We see suffering, and we do not walk away. Even when the world tells us it cannot be done, we try, because sometimes trying is enough to create miracles." The words echoed in the silent hall, and for a long moment none dared to speak. The wealthy mother looked at Eric, her heart swelling. With gratitude and fear, gratitude for the gift he had given, and fear for the price he would have to pay if the council's rage won, she knew her wealth and power could not shield him forever. Yet she also knew she could not allow him to be sacrificed, not now, not after he had given her daughter the chance to live freely. Her daughter, small but filled with courage, took another shaky step forward. She looked at the towering counselors with eyes that blazed brighter than her fragile body. "You call him inferior," she said softly, her voice trembling yet unbroken. "But none of you gave me my legs. None of you gave me my hope. He did. If this is weakness, then I will keep it. If this is shame, then I will carry it proudly, because for the first time in my life, I am standing." The chamber broke into chaos. Some shouted to silence her. Others cried out in awe. The High Counselor's face twisted with rage, but even he could not erase what had been seen. The nobles argued, the soldiers hesitated, and the people outside the chamber began to murmur as the news spread like fire. Already whispers ran through the streets. Already stories of the miracle traveled across the city, and soon they would cross the stars. The alien mother knew the battle was only beginning, but she also knew the tide had turned. Pride and fear would fight to bury this truth. But truth, once spoken, never dies. She turned to face the crowd, her voice rising like thunder. "You may strip me of my title. You may take my wealth. You may call me traitor, but you will never erase what has happened here. A child who was told she would never walk has walked, and it was not because of your crowns or your science. It was because a human showed us that hope is stronger than despair, and courage is stronger than pride." Her words shook the council. The chamber erupted again, but this time voices were divided. Some demanded punishment, but others hesitated, unsure, unwilling to destroy what they had just witnessed. The seed of change had been planted, and it was growing quickly. In the end, the council did not strike Arik down, not because they accepted him, but because they feared the people. They feared the whispers. They feared the story of the child who walked. They released him under watch, hoping silence would kill the truth. But the alien mother knew it was too late. The truth had wings now, wings carried by every eye that had seen, every ear that had heard. That night, in the quiet of her mansion, the mother sat beside her daughter, holding her hand tightly. The girl rested with tired eyes but a glowing smile, her legs still weak but alive. The mother looked at Eric, who stood quietly near the door, ready to leave before more trouble found him. She spoke softly, her voice breaking with gratitude. "You gave me what all my riches could not. You gave me my daughter's steps. You gave me back my hope." Arik bowed his head, his eyes calm and kind. It was never about wealth or power. It was about giving her what she already had inside her. I only helped her find it. With that, he turned to leave, disappearing into the night without waiting for reward, leaving behind only his words. The wealthy alien mother looked down at her daughter, her heart filled with a warmth she had never known before. She whispered softly, "He was right. You were never broken. You only needed belief." The girl squeezed her hand, her smile glowing brighter than the stars outside the window, and as the twin moons rose over the grand mansion, the mother knew that the galaxy had changed forever. For one miracle had been seen, one truth had been spoken, and no law, no counsel, no pride could erase it. Humanity had given them a gift greater than science, greater than wealth, greater than power, the gift of hope.